Hello everybody, my name is Antonio Cisneros. I'm going to be talking about television versus YouTube, or specifically online streaming. Who here watches Netflix, Hulu, YouTube itself? Yeah. Fun fact, according to Google, YouTube has over 1 billion active users every month. That's quite a bit. And that's literally actually every one person out of 7 people is actually using YouTube like every month. That's huge. With information and stats like this, I've concluded one thing. Online streaming entertainment will replace traditional television in America. Summary disclaimer. This is not specifically television and their multimedias. This is about the television's delivery and outdated service, aka cable company broadcasting services. Let me see. In order for me all to enlighten you to this fact, I will have to explain 3 different points. 1, traditional online viewing is unsustainable. 2, streaming services are going to be replaced by technology due to advancements. And on top of that, I'm very lost. First point, TV viewership is declining. MarketingCharts.com shows that bar graphs revealing a drastic decline in average amount of view time spent on traditional television. 26 hours and 28 minutes and 16 to 18. Okay, I did the percentage calculation myself. It's actually been 30% loss in revenue in people. And all the people who've been watching broadcasting systems have actually been completely booted and up to 40%. That's huge, and only a 5-year time frame. That's almost half. Subscriptions to TV is also declining. In websites, from website businessinsider.com, the peak of all cable companies were reached. In 2012, that peak was 9 million, 0.6. It goes to show that current decline it goes to show further that the current decline is actually only 1%, and so that's not that big of a deal. But to show up to that fun fact I said earlier, 1 billion users compared to 97 million, that is literally only 10% of the actual cost that people are bringing in these days. And YouTube outshines them completely today. And that was 2012 back at the time. That was their peak. Okay, YouTube. Which actually brings me to my second point. Streaming services are acquiring former broadcast users. YouTube, Hulu, Amazon, etc., all growing dramatically. On the same bar graph from Business Insider, I was shown a shorter stature bars that were on the same rise. The bar graphs were representative of non-TV subscribers. I took the liberty upon myself to calculate the percentage increase from 2011 to 2016. And it went from a 20% increase. That's huge. From the 1% decline in comparison to 20% increase, they're eventually going to catch up to each other. Disclaimer though, this is actually including the people who are already not using internet, which is about 5%. And the actual people that are the rest of the percentage is considered cord cutters. If you haven't heard of that, that is the people who are getting rid of their internet for going to straight streaming. Let me see. The act of this canceling, or I already said that. As far as noncable.org, it assumes that this current increase is only this current fad of cable cutting is actually only going to increase over time up to 2015. It's going to climb 20% even more. So my best assumption is that why this is happening is due to technology advancements, which leads to my final point. Technology has progressed far enough for us to actually cut the cord completely. I personally feel it's my responsibility to let you all know about these actual great alternatives in comparison to cable services who are very overpriced by my standards. And I'm not talking about buying like PlayStations or smart TVs. I'm talking about these new things like Apple TV, which is only $165. It's still a big pill, my friends. But the best thing about this, it's only the same price as the cable bill you have this month. I'm sure everybody knows that the average bill is only around $99 to $160. So cancel your cable bill one time for 1 month, and you don't have to pay that bill ever again for the rest of your life. But an even better price is Google Chrome, $35. That's it, and you can just stop doing it. This Google Chrome is actually able to hook into a TV, and you're able to do exactly the same amount of streaming that you can do from your cell phone. It is a huge advancement, and it's a huge pay loss compared to the cable companies who are actually going to be charging you more than 100% of what this is. In conclusion, I have explained that television is unsustainable, that streaming will eventually take the lead in internet services, and technology today has progressed enough that it can get rid of old broadcasting systems for good. I truly hope I have clarified to you all that online streaming will replace television in America. Thank you. I know. I know I did. Freaking coffee.
Like downstairs.
All right, Antonio, there are a couple of things that are working pretty well at the beginning. I think you set up the issue a little bit. You've got a good statement of the proposition when you finally present it that's relatively clear. You start to preview the supporting points. You got a little bit lost on one of those points. I think you recognize that. It got cleared up when you got to the body of the speech, so that wasn't too bad. I thought internally the signposting on the major points was clear, although again, I think sometimes they're not stated as claims, and you occasionally confuse terminology and ideas and concepts. For example, you mentioned at one point cable cutters are going to get rid of their internet, and I'm going, no, that's not the way it works. They're getting rid of their cable systems. They need the internet to be able to go cable free, and I know that you understand that, but the language is not very well planned and not very careful as a consequence. And so people who are listening are going to go, wait, what? I don't know. I don't understand what it is he's saying. You know, what's the point? You've got a whole bunch of numbers that you're taking from graphs, and you do cite the sources of those graphs, but you're paraphrasing them makes them a little bit confusing, and the way they're put into the argument doesn't always clarify the issue that you're talking about. I think it comes down to some pretty straightforward numbers. The peak of broadcast television and the high degree at which cable and satellite subscription was, the high point was 4 years ago. Since then, they've been losing market share, and that's when you just need one of those statistics. If you say 1%, that doesn't sound all that powerful, but if you say they've lost 20% of their market share since 2012, okay, then that's a little bit more convincing. But I'm not sure what the numbers are because they're not very clearly presented. It's probably best if you were quoting directly. I'm sure in all of those graphs that you're looking at, there's an article there where some expert is kind of explaining this thing, and you might want to quote the experts in the article rather than trying to make sense of the graphs yourself. Because it just didn't come across the way you wanted it to. I think you've got the right information here, but it's not being presented very clearly. And I don't know if that's because there's not as much practice in it, or some anxiety issues about presentation or something along that. Although I thought you started off pretty well and we're in good shape there. You lost a little bit of contact with us as you were speaking, so I think that's a bit of a problem. You've got a couple of examples that you cite. I like the idea when you're talking about Apple TV and Chrome these new technologies on the third point that are going to be so competitive that people are just not going to want any of these other kinds of things. And when you talk about the economic cost, I think that's a pretty good deal. The factual data on how much Chrome costs or how much Apple TV costs shouldn't be hard to cite. I don't doubt that you're right on those numbers, but you ought to give us a source on it. And then, for example, you mentioned the average cable bill or satellite bill. That's another one that shouldn't be hard to figure. Maybe you're perfectly satisfied letting people say, well, you know what you pay for your cable. I'll bet a lot of people here don't know because, they live with somebody else who pays the cable bill, and so they don't think that much about it, or they live in a communal setting where everybody splits the bill, and as a result, it doesn't seem like it's that big a deal. But if you're writing that check, and that would be the thing to say, the average cable bill is $179 a month or $142 a month according to the Cable Association of America, or according to Time Warner or something like that. I mean, there's got to be some data on this, and I'm sure that you ran across it, but it's not being put into the speech as effectively as it could be. And then you've got a whole bunch of kind of personal comments about those services. The first thing that I'm thinking about, okay, so on Apple TV, can I get all of my NFL Network? Can I get the Red Zone? Can I get all the stuff that's broadcast on CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, any of those channels that I watch? I don't know. I truly don't know. I know that on some of the technology stuff, some services are not available. There are all kinds of services that are available. I don't really want to watch soccer from Europe, 17 times a day. I have a friend who wants to do that, but not me. And that's the kind of stuff that you can get on streaming on the phone. He's always showing me, hey, look, Manchester United, and he's showing me on the phone. I'm going, and where is the Rams game? Where are the Raiders? Where's the Red Zone on your phone? And maybe it's there. I don't know. Maybe Chrome and Apple provide those sorts of things, but that's the kind of stuff that you have to tell us. These services have all the stuff that the broadcast networks are having. They're going to provide all of the same material that cable and satellite are providing, and then I think your argument's going to be a lot more convincing. And that may be true, but it didn't come out very clearly, if that's the case. All right, thank you.